So what comes to mind when you think of chicken? I mean, probably most people have this vision of the chicken dinner, or the Chick-fil-A, or chicken nuggets, or just like mechanically constituted chicken forms and whatnot. I picture actual animals, Gallus domesticus, but it's usually what comes to people's mind. I also have this vision of like nostalgic family chicken dinner, like the 50s, and there was a chicken dinner waiting home, and the family got together and they said their prayers, and kind of like that. And it was more of like a familiar thing, and there was the American dream was centered around this home environment, and chicken was the integral part of the meal. So have we lost this, or like where does chicken come from nowadays when we eat it? Most likely a concentrated animal feeding operation. This is how the price of chicken has been taken down so much, and how it's extremely affordable to have chicken and meats in every single meal that we have. And they do this by externalizing the costs to other sources. So they're not personally responsible for the waste that they keep. They keep their manure and legumes, and they have government subsidized feed that they can feed their chickens to get an exorbitant amount of weight gain within a small period of time. And these broilers can be ready within 60 days from a chick to 2 to 3 pounds ready to be eaten. And so where's the light at the end of this tunnel? It's preferably not fluorescent. This is Joel Salatin. He's a kind of farmer that is has a lot of clashing ideas with current mechanized agriculture, and he developed these things called chicken tractors. And so this is a device that allows chickens to be raised on pasture, and by having the enclosure, you can protect your chickens from any predators, because raccoons like to eat chickens. And the mobility of it is you can either have a tractor attachment that you can move from field to field, and what happens is in a pasture there's grasses, and chickens are not ruminants, so they don't eat grass, but they can eat the seeds once they go to grass in the late spring or early summer. When the grasses go to seed, they have the seed, they have the insects, and so they're having a natural diet supplemented by feed, of course, because they can't survive entirely on grasses. And you can move this from space to space within your field, and you're actually fertilizing the land, so you're putting more fertility back into the land when you're having chicken tractors on your land. And you can effectively mow grass by moving them each day, and it incorporates a diverse diet for the chickens. Insects are high in macronutrients and protein, so we have a more fulfilled diet rather than the concentrated animal feeding operation where the entirety of it is GMO grain feed. As labeled here, I have a little list. So the pasture raised, usually it's non-GMO grain feed because the farmers are more aware of the implications of having that kind of feed in their chickens. And it can be organic and do that kind of thing, but there's also insects that are natural inhabitants of the grasses, and again, actually fertilize grasses because the chicken's manure is high in nitrogen, and that's one of the main limiting nutrients for grasses to grow. And the concentrated animal feeding operations usually have government-subsidized pesticide, herbicide, fungicide-ridden GMO grain feed with a healthy dose of antibiotics, because in those conditions they're not able to keep themselves healthy because they're gaining an exorbitant amount of weight in a short amount of time, and they can't fend off diseases because they're in such close quarters, and dying chickens and manure they're walking around in. It's just it's a breeding ground for pathogenic bacteria and fungus. So the impact that the CAFOs that we previously showed pictures of, local residents end up paying for this damage, because when a concentrated actually in Fort White, they're going to have one of these. So that's an aside though. So the heavy traffic that the semi-trucks need to come into to either bring in new chicks or to take away broilers that have been ready for slaughter destroys local roads, so that local taxpayers have to pick up that bill, because roads are largely funded by the local government, state government. The manure spill cleanups, I'll show you how they keep the manure from these large operations. Decreased land fertility, fish kills from nitrogen runoff, and increased health care from the surrounding residents. They are usually Malay, maladapted to the high hydrogen sulfide concentrations leaching from the manure lagoons. And according to the USDA, CAFOs produce 500 million tons of manure annually. And they don't treat the sewage they produce, they keep them in these large lagoons, and they keep them there, open air, to the environment, waiting to spread on neighboring agricultural fields, but most of the time it's being shipped hundreds of miles or tens of miles, which is unsustainable in that fact, to a agricultural farm. So here's a couple of nice pictures of that. You can see some enclosed chicken houses and then the manure, so just something to gauge the size of how much crap's actually in that pond. And you can see algae blooms, so it's definitely not a good thing. As opposed to, where does this chicken manure go? It goes right to the ground, the grasses feed off of it, it's feeding the land, increasing the land fertility, building soil, the grasses are being able to fertilize naturally without Scott's green herbicide, nitrogen soluble fertilizer and whatnot, and it's generally a humane way to have your chickens on land. So you're poor, you're in college, and this chicken is most likely more expensive than stuff you find at Publix that's packaged in your yellow Tyson package. So touching on this, what can you do to maybe be able to afford this? Eliminate your Netflix subscription, and so you can invest in conversation. Learn how to hack your neighbor's Wi-Fi. I've done this personally. Saves excellent amount of money. Don't spend your money on processed foods. Divert funds to real food. Yeah, and call your rampant alcoholism, maybe if you choose so. But in reality, you're probably not going to do any of that. So if you have this in your mind while you're in college, then maybe you can divert your money and have one good meal a day, or a week with pasture-raised chicken. Then you go into adulthood, you graduate from college, start making big bucks, and you can actually afford this pasture-raised chicken for every meal. And then by doing that, you can invest in local economies, you can be ethical in your environmental impact, and you can directly affect your well-being and health. And a call to action, this is Cognito Farm. This is a local farm that works with pasture-raised poultry and grass-fed beef and range pork. So you can support them. I include the link here, just at the Wednesday market. And it's just a recipe for you guys to include craft beer if you're some privileged. And that's it.
How'd you feel, sir?
Excellent. I thought that went perfect.
What would you say your gem and your op was?
Gem, I talked the whole time. I don't think I had any stumbles or like large gaps of silence. Op was generally the same, like presentation before me, like more rehearsed, and I kind of just went into this thinking I could ramble and it'd be good, but I'm alright with that.
What were